Hi, fourth grade. This is Miss Wilson again, coming back with our second lesson for the week. So today, our objective will be that I can round to any place value using place value. So before we used our vertical line, which was great, and that's one strategy of rounding. Now today we're going to learn a second strategy for rounding. All right. So our objective is we can use place value understanding to round multi-digit numbers to any place value. You can definitely do this. So with this lesson, you're going to need paper and pencil. If you have a whiteboard, you can use a whiteboard because that's definitely what we'll be using in class is a whiteboard. Okay, so pause it here while you get those items, and then unpause it so you can start again. All right, we're back. So you should have your pencil and paper so we can round to any place value without using our vertical line. All right, so problem number one. So we have 4,333. And remember, our equal sign that's squiggly means is about. Is about. So 4,333 is about, and we have to figure that out. Okay, so our first thing to do is to figure out what two thousands is 4,333 between. So we're rounding to our nearest thousand, so we need to look into our thousands place value. We have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So this 4 will have two choices. Either it could stay the same, so that 4 will stay a 4, or it can go up 1. So that means that 4 can become a 5. Okay, so our two choices for our answer will be 4,000 or 5,000. Now, what is the halfway point between 4,000 and 5,000? What's the halfway point? It'll be 4,500. Now, one of the tricks that I do know is I put a 5 in the place value nearest to the one that I'm rounding. So since I'm rounding the thousands place, the 4 would be in the, and so if we put a 5 in the place value behind our thousands, it would be 4,500. That'll be our halfway point between 4,500. I mean 5,000. 4,000 and 5,000. Our halfway point would be 4,500. Is 4,333 less than or more than the half point? It is definitely less than 4,500. So if it's less than, uh, we know that it goes to our smallest number, which is 4,000. Okay, so let's try to round our next number to the nearest thousands, again without using our number line. Okay, so hopefully you have out your either whiteboard or your paper. I'm going to use uh, paper, and we're going to round to the nearest uh, 10,000. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to underline my 10,000s place. Okay, because I did ones, tens, hundreds, thousand, 10,000. And so my 1 has two choices. Either it can stay a 1, then everything behind it becomes zeros. So then it's 10,000, or it can go up by 1. And if my 1 went up by 1, what would that be? A 2. Then everything behind it will become zeros. So my two choices is 10,000 and 20,000. So looking at our number, which is 18,753, 18 is closer to which number? It's closer to 20,000. So 18,753 is about 20,000 when we're rounding to the nearest 10,000. So let's take that exact same number. Now let's round to the nearest thousands place. So again, I'm going to find my place value, which would be the thousands. So ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. I'm going to underline my thousands. Okay? So my thousands place has two choices. Either it can stay the same. So when you're rounding and there are greater place values, they don't change. So my 10,000 place does not change. So my 8 could stay the same. So if my 8 stayed the same, it would be 18,000. Because remember, everything behind the place value that is lower place value than the number I'm rounding becomes zeros. Everything higher than the place value that I'm rounding stays the same. So that 8 could stay the same, or it could do what? It could go up 1. And then if it went up 1, it would be 19,000. Because again, what's in front of the place value stays the same. So these are my only two answers that it could be. It could be 18,000 or it could be 19,000. So let's look back at our number. 18,753. Is that closer to 19,000 or 18,000? Now, I definitely know I can look at this and tell what my midpoint would be. My midpoint would be starting off with the same 2000s that I had at the bottom and 500. My number is higher than what this midpoint would be, so it's closer to 19,000. Now, another way I can definitely look at this is find my rounding spot and then look at the number behind it. Now, if that number is 4 or less, so that'll be 4, 3, 2, 1, that 8 will stay the same. Now, if it's 5 or higher, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that 8 will go up 1. And as we see, this 7 is in the group of this 8 will go up 1. So that'll give us 19,000. Okay? All right, so we're going to do another one where we have 346,560 is about where we're rounding to the nearest. Let's do the nearest 1,000 first. Okay, so between what two thousands is 346,560? So I have to find my 1,000 place value. So I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay, so I'm concentrating on this 6. Now, this 6 has two choices. It could do what? Stay the same, or it could do what? Go up 1. Okay? So let's write down what it would be if it stayed the same. So any numbers that are higher in place value than what we are rounding, they stay the same. So the 34 will stay the same. Now we said that 6 is either going to go up 1 or stay the same. So right now we're writing if it stays the same. And everything behind it becomes zeros. So that's letting me know that the place value that I'm rounding is the thousands because of the zeros behind it. Now it could stay the same, so that's where it stayed the same, or it can go up 1,000. So if it went up 1,000, that 6 would turn into a 7, and everything behind it will be zeros again. So this is between these two numbers. Either when we round, it's going to be 346,000 or it's going to be 347,000. Now, we're not using our vertical line on this one. We're going to use what we had up here, where if it's the number in the place value behind what we're rounding, it's 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0. Let's not leave out the 0. It stays the same, but if the number is higher, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it'll go up 1. So instead of having below, because I know sometimes that confuse people and it makes them think that the number goes down. It doesn't. So let's write just same on the side. So if it's 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, the number that we're rounding will stay the same. But if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, the number will go up by 1. So we're rounding the thousands place. Let's look at the number that's behind it, the place value that's behind it. So the place value that's behind it is hundreds. And what number do we have in that place value? We have a 5. And we know 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, what we're rounding is going to go up 1. So we're going to say that 346,560 is about 347,000. Okay? So let's use the same number, but this time let's round the 100,000 spot, place value. So first I need to find my 100,000 place value. So I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000. Okay? So I'm going to underline my 100,000s. Now that 3 has 2 choices. When you round it only has 2 choices. It stays the same, or it goes up by 1. Those are only 2 choices. Now we're going to use the number behind it to see what it's going to do. So if we go back up to where we wrote our little chart, we said 4, 3, 2, 1, that number is going to stay the same. So it's a 4 there, so that tells me that 3 is going to stay the same. And everything behind it is going to become zeros. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers behind that place value. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So we're saying that 346,560 is about, so make sure it's the wiggly signs, not the equal sign, 300,000. This is when rounded to the nearest 100,000. So let's use that exact same number again, because we can definitely round using place value to different place values. So let's do 10,000 this time. So I need to find my 10,000s place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Okay? So found out my place value that I'm rounding, and then I need to look back at the number that's directly behind it, because the number directly behind it is the one that is deciding what's gonna happen. Okay, so we're gonna go back up to where we wrote our little notes, and we said that if the number is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the number that we're rounding will go up by 1. So this number is 6, so that tells me this 4 is going to go up by 1. Now anything in front of my 10,000s place stays the same. So that 3 will stay the same. And then that 4 we just said is going to go up 1. And then the numbers behind it will become zeros. So we're saying that 346,560 is about 350,000. All right, so let's do another problem. Even though it says problem 2 up there, we know that we've done this multiple times, that we're probably on problem number 6, but that's all right. So we're going to take 65,600, and it says round to the nearest 10,000 or 100,000 without using a vertical line. So when I look at this number, I see that I don't have 100,000s place. So I have to be rounding this to the nearest 10,000. Because I have 1, 10, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. I don't have 100,000 place. So we're going to round to the nearest 10,000s. So I'm going to underline that. And what I'm rounding has two choices. My number there is a 6. So that 6 could stay the same. Or that 6 could go up 1. And it will become a what? 7. Yes. Because 6 plus 1 is 7. So I'm going to look back at the number behind it to figure out what is that number going to do. Is it going to stay the same or go up 1? So remember when we made this chart here, we said that 5, if the number behind the place value that we're rounding is 5, that it'll go up 1. So if that 6 goes up 1, it becomes 7, and everything behind it becomes 0. So I'm saying that 65,600 rounded to the nearest 10,000s is 70,000. Okay, so let's do another problem. Now this one again says rounded to the nearest 10,000 or 100,000 place without using the vertical line. So far this lesson we haven't used our line, even though we got so good at using the line. So we're going to use the number 548,253. So it told us to round to the nearest 10,000 or 100,000. So we're going to do both of them out here. So let's do the 10,000s first. So I'm going to find my 10,000 place value. So I'm going to give you time to find your 10,000 place value. Okay? So let's see. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousand, 10,000. So I'm going to underline the 10,000 place, which I have a 4 there. Now, that 4 has two choices. It can, yes, stay the same, or it can go up by 1. Now, we're going to look at the number behind our 10,000th place, which would be our thousandth place, to dictate what we're going to do. So what is that number that's behind that place value? Yes, it's an 8. So we're going to look back at our chart where we wrote it down, and 8 tells us that that number that we're rounding has to go up by 1. So if 4 goes up by 1, what does it become? A 5. Now when we're writing this, what do we do with the number that's in front of the place value that we're rounding? It stays the same. Okay? Now, the place value that we are rounding, what did we say was going to happen to this? Was it going to stay the same, or was it going to go up by 1? Yes, we said it's going to go up by 1 because of the 8 that's behind it. And then all the numbers behind the place value that we're rounding become zeros. So we're saying, let me make sure I get my wiggly lines, that 548,253 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is about 550,000. Okay, so let's do that number again. But this time we're going to round it to the 100,000th place. Ooh, got to remember, make them wiggly lines, because it's not equal to, it is about. Okay, so I'm going to find my 100,000th place. So go ahead and underline that. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000s. Okay, then I'm going to put an arrow to the place value that's directly behind it, because that's really going to dictate what I'm going to do. It's going to tell me either that 5 is going to stay the same, or that 5 is going to go up 1. Okay, so according to my chart, I got light pulling back at this chart. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, my number is going to stay the same. So that means that that 5 is going to stay the same. And then everything behind that 5 becomes what? Zeros. So let's use this number one more time. Even though we're not rounding to the thousands place, let's go ahead and round this number to the thousands place. Now that's why I love the larger numbers, because we can round it to so many different place values. Okay, so let's underline our thousand place value. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay, then we're going to put an arrow going to the place value directly behind our thousands place, which would be our hundred. And that's what's going to dictate what happens to this 8. Either this 8 is going to do what? Stay the same, or it's going to what? Go up 1. So based upon that 2, what is that 8 going to do? It's going to stay the same. So everything in front of this 8, and I put a box around it, because I don't want you to confuse it with what we're rounding. Everything in front of this 8 stays the same. And we said the 8 was going to stay the same. And everything behind what we're rounding becomes zeros. So we're saying that 548,253 rounded to the nearest thousand is about 548,000. All right, I'm back. Well, I never left, but my face is back. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. This is lesson number 9. It's a little bit different from the other lessons because we actually build up to this point where we can round using place value and not the vertical line. So our first 3 lessons we used the vertical line. This lesson we rounded without using the vertical line, but we definitely still had to find our place value. But this time we looked at the place value directly behind the place value that we are rounding and used that to determine whether or not our number was going to stay the same or go up 1. One thing that I definitely need you to remember, and I know I've said this in every video, when you are rounding, the number that's in that place value that you're rounding, it never goes down. If it's an 8 there, it either stay at 8 or go up to a 9. It will not go down to a 7. So rounding is not subtracting. We're just trying to figure out what number is it closer to. So I've enjoyed this lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Until next time, bye.